Now, the rest of the story.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of tedding to do down here. That's why I didn't rush down here. I mean, I got down here at 2:30. It's 3:30 right now. And the upper bottom that we're currently on was the biggest share of this farm down here, of the valley, that was windrowed out. Which windrowed means it's being cut and it's being dropped in a tight windrow, as you can see across there. Trying to leave as much ground exposed as possible because the bottom was definitely still kind of wet, soft, muddy, and by leaving it windrowed like this for the last 24 hours definitely allowed it to dry out. And this is the rough part of the field. This actually was all, I don't want to necessarily say it was swamp, it's just that it was left unmaintained for so long because it was trapping moisture, that the landowners kept telling me, oh, we used to make it. Well, it wasn't until I came down here and actually had a chance to clean it up, cut it, and get it hauled out, where if you get all that residue, as opposed to just hitting it with the rhino cutter and grinding everything up and leaving that residue on the ground, we were able to go through and bale it and haul it out, so that way it exposed the ground that much better, and that regrowth being consistently being harvested off of it has actually allowed us to make more of this down here, which is nice. So I'm coming down here to do this. I want to make sure I'm harvesting as much as possible. I mean, I'm leaving that down there because I have to. There's water on it, but we'll see what that mole plow will do here in another week. So if we can come down, bale it. I don't know if we can maybe bale some of the lighter stuff that was laid out flat tomorrow. I'm not against trying. Thursday, Friday, get everything baled. So I think by Friday this stuff will go. Rain Saturday night. If we can get the stuff hauled in Saturday, I'm all for it. But if it does get rained on for 2 or 3 days like they're calling for, I'm not worrying too much when they're calling for rain at this point in time, largely just because we were supposed to get 2 to 3 inches this last weekend and we didn't even get an inch. And the ground is still very dry to where in 3 days of casual showers, I think we'll just soak right into the ground. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. And all this hay down here is going to be stacked outside. I'll stack it appropriately so it's spaced out so it can breathe and none of it's touching, and it'll be wrapped 4 times and wrapped tight to where it'll be able to survive 2-3 months outside before I get it moved out of here. And any of this material that I'm making right now, I think 100% of it is good enough to go down the road. So if I got to pull off of that second crop stack sitting up there, I got a few bales there on the lower side of it. I'll haul home to the cows. I'm currently sitting on 65 bales. No, 75 bales up at home. That's a lie. 75. No, it is 100 because I put a bunch inside. So I got about 100 bales of hay set aside for my cows, plus I could pull another 20 or 30 off this stack pretty easy. My cows will be doing good, plus we'll be getting plenty of corn fodder this fall. And I'd say the poor man's corn silage. I guess that's probably not appropriate for many true dedicated cattle guys, but I stand by my statement of if you put out like this stuff, of course when it's dry, this beautiful third cut grass, it's, you know, reed canary, but second and third cut, this stuff it's like candy to my cows. I mean, they'll dang near beat you to death trying to get to it. I could set out a bale of this stuff and a bale of corn fodder, you know, that's meant for bedding, you know, and the cows won't touch this stuff until they go through and they shred those fodder bales. Are they going through and eating all the stalks and the leaves out of it? Not necessarily. what they're going through is any potential ears that are in the bale, which hopefully this year we're looking at none. But the cows, they will still go through and they'll eat the leaves, and let me see. It's the poor man's feed, the cheap way of feeding cattle. And you know what? I don't feel bad about saying that, because my cattle still produce some really nice looking calves, and they sell very well. And I might actually have to keep some calves throughout the summer next year, not because I want to, just because my forced fall herd of calves, I don't know if I want to just sell them next spring being a smaller size, or I might put them on grass and grass feed them with a little bit of corn. I could actually probably put them in my house pasture. If I only got 2 or 3 feeder calves, I mean, we'll get them vaccinated and cut. To be completely honest with you, that actually isn't a bad idea. I mean, that house pasture generally gets underutilized every year. I might actually consider putting heifers or something in it, because my gears have shifted when it comes to my cows, of either you're producing calves or you get called out. I mean, 2 strikes and you're done. I only have 2 cows that I would actually keep regardless, but we won't get into that. They're pets and nostalgia. Secondly, steers, heifers, keeping back every heifer that I can justify keeping back, you know, they're good looking heifers. Otherwise, bulls get cut, turned to steers, fed and sent, and really start to push closer to 30 to 50 head of cows. If I got to start feeding them year round, and I switch the valley a little bit more away from selling the hay down here to feeding the hay, if I can justify even splitting it, you know, because I mean, my gosh, where am I at? I can do the quick math here. I mean, plus I'm at 594 bales plus, well, might as well say I'll have easily over 700 bales down here. Well, we can save ourselves some of the wear and tear on the truck and trailer, and I can just stack a bunch of hay down here and just haul it home when I need to. I mean, I know there's guys, I've seen a couple channels, I mean, way back on YouTube days, where they are feeding beef cattle in a confinement setup. I mean, like basically like a dairy style freestall, but just set up for pens for beef cattle. I mean, I don't see me doing that, like putting in a building specifically for the beef cows, but I could definitely see me keeping the cows up at Rockville, and then getting the fence fixed up around the barn at my place, which it's going to be fixed regardless, but then just feeding my beef cows year round. It's doable. So I mean, it's viable as long as I can make the hay cheap. I mean, when you have to start selling the hay down the road where nobody wants it, if I can produce a lot of hay and nobody wants it, I will find a way to ship it. I mean, because honestly, I would look at even tarping the stuff for long term. I mean, stack 100 in a stack, and this stuff will keep, I get a couple years out of it. But I don't know, I'm not really looking at changing my whole operation just yet. I mean, a lot of it's just trying to be flexible. So everybody's asking, I always get people asking, you know, what's our next purchase, or what am I looking at buying next? And wholeheartedly, nothing. There's nothing right now that I'm gonna say I'm gonna go buy. I'm a liar. It's actually a computer, but the money's already put aside for it. Yeah, I know you guys aren't watching this channel to hear me talk about computers, but I was actually looking at doing a pre-build. I had one figured out and priced out, and I was putting the money away all year, and I was planning on buying it December, January time frame. It's gonna be way more overpowered than anything I would ever need, but if I buy a computer, it's gonna be it's expensive, but it's gonna have the ability to last 10 years for what I'm gonna use it for. I'm not somebody that, the computer I'm using now, my desktop, is a $600 micro tower that I had no intention of keeping it as long as I have, and I'd rather just buy something that has staying power. But the problem is, with the price of all computer parts going down, like GPUs and everything, I'm actually thinking I could buy everything and put it together myself. Because like the GPU, I'm looking at like a 3090 Ti Founders Edition. I mean, a lot more than I would need, but I'd rather max it out so that way it has staying power going down the road. I'm looking at a couple terabytes worth of storage, and you know, pretty rock solid computer by the time I'm all said and done with it. I mean, I've actually been gradually piecing it together, putting a parts list throughout the year, but otherwise the pre-built is a lot simpler. But it's looking like I'll price them against each other, but I think the pre-built isn't going to have everything I want on it, and it's probably going to be another $1,200–1,500 more versus if I could just go buy everything and put it together. And okay, talking about farm-wise, as far as the hay stuff goes, the baler was the big thing. I mean, making 431 bales for first cut, if we didn't have that 569, I'd have been in so much trouble. I mean, yeah, I probably could have gotten everything baled, but we wouldn't have gotten everything hauled in before it rained and put away inside, because everything that I got stored inside has absolutely zero rain on it. I mean, and you know, it doesn't matter to me too much because it's got the wrap on it so heavy, but I got stuff that has literally seen, since the day it was cut to the time it was slammed in the shed, it's seen no rain. And I've had people try to buy it for like $70 a ton. I mean, do I sound a little insulted? A little bit. And the stuff outside, I mean, I've done the quality videos. You guys have seen me peel back those bales, and those bales, maybe on the surface they don't look that great. They look weathered. They look good. They look weathered because they're not squatting or anything. They're packed tight, and they're like 1,300-pound bales, and they aren't far off from the stuff that's stored inside as far as quality. They're not. I mean, if I can't make money sending this stuff down the road, I'll figure out how to get more cattle around. I don't want to borrow money for cattle, but in my current operation, if I start keeping back heifers in earnest, I mean, because I've been letting some go, but if I actually start keeping heifers and really focusing on growing my herd, I could make things happen. I know I could. I could go buy some beef heifers if the prices came down a little bit. I'm not paying for high cost heifers right now, but I mean, the other thing that would actually make it a little bit easier down here would be another trailer, like a hay trailer. Those John BM Manufacturing, or John B Manufacturing, how the heck is it? John BM Manufacturing. 36 foot with the dump truck tires on it, or the rear tandems, whatever. Slam that on the 46 down here, put 16 or so bales on it, and set Dale loose with it and see how he can get out of here with that. Because the 7600 can pull that flatbed with the 11 bales stacked on it, and I'm sure the 46, it's got the power and the weight to yank 16 or 18 bales out of here. But it's all about efficiency, guys. It really is. I mean, I don't mind making hay down here, but there's a part of me that This is a hay farm, but part of me would really like to see it rotated to corn. I mean, not even all of it for forever. I mean, part of me wants to rotate it out so I can spin back around and seed it to alfalfa or a better grass, because the stuff on the bench has been nothing but a battle. I mean, I interseeded it last year, but then it got dry, so I think that burned me. Ugh. I found the one rough spot in that. Oh, we're on the fence line. That's why we're on that. I just ran through that low spot where I dug that rock out. But lost my train of thought. The hay wagon is the biggest thing that comes to mind. 7,000 or 8,000. I really want to spend that right now? Not really. If I'm spending money, it's generally on stuff that's making me money. Without getting into big details, investing and trying to make my money that I have grow versus buying a wagon that's just going to depreciate. But I'd have it for forever. So, we got to speed up. I've been going about 8 miles an hour at 1,500 RPMs. I get this done, which we're getting into the short passes. This done, I'm going to be doing, I already did them, the waterways on the main field, like on the bench. The waterways themselves are essentially reed canary because they've never been tilled, so the canary, which is considered an invasive and terrible grass, which I actually prefer because I get the tonnage off of it. I mean, I want quantity, just how it is. Tedded that out because that was still pretty heavy. I got a couple spots down there that were heavy, and then I got the neighbor place because there's actually, it's 2 neighbors over. I got to go ted that out, and trying to save the fuel and the wear and the tear on the tedder. I can ted this for cheap, fuel-wise, but the tedder is parts heavy because I brought 4 sets of teeth down with me. I haven't lost any, but that's also because I'm only going, well, it's light material. Heavy material, you start snapping them. But I'm trying to make sure that I'm not digging into the dirt and doing any tillage with this thing. I'm pretty much just trying to hit the tops of the windrows and, and bust them open. So it's what it is. I mean, a bigger tedder would have been nice. A 6 rotor. Yeah. The rake, I like the rake we got. I mean, as far as if you're looking at just the haying equipment, the bigger wagon and maybe a bigger tedder. So that's all I can think of for the haying equipment. More cattle, absolutely. Another tractor, that's a given. But again, it's boring even talking about another tractor at this point. I'd like to switch my focus onto more equipment purchases for the row crops to keep that, to speed that up, because I'm still actively trying to grow. And even another grain bin, I know somebody asked me about putting in a grain bin. My problem is that if I buy a bin, I gotta buy it completely out of pocket. And the bin that I would like to put in, you're probably looking at 100,000. I mean, I could put another 20,000 bushel in, but well, if my audio hasn't kicked out, you're watching the rest of the story. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. My battery is flashing. So I'll talk to you guys later.